What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about NIO. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down what's moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So NIO is down 1.23%, 504 the high, 477 the low, and just shy of about 47 million shares being traded. So during the pre-market in the first 30 minutes of the trading day, things actually looked fairly good. And then all hell broke loose, and then it started to get dragged down with the broader market, which kind of interestingly enough, the market is starting to recover. Now just NIO is left in the dust, which is very frustrating. But when it comes down to macro data, there really hasn't been anything coming out from China. Next big data is going to be Thursday evening, and that's a lot of inflationary data, so that'll impact Friday. And still no new analyst ratings. The last one did come out 18 days ago. That was Bernstein, Eunice, who has a 48% success rating. So I'd like to have some logical explanation why there has been no analyst ratings because of their numbers that they just put out. But maybe they're waiting for the upcoming earnings, which haven't been announced. Or maybe just analysts don't really care about NIO anymore. There's bigger fish out there. Or I don't know, maybe there's just vacations overlapping or some weird dumb explanation. But definitely this is very odd. When it comes to NIO though, there has been a couple big things that did come out today to kind of justify that nice push higher. One was this, so NIO extending the battery swapping partnership with 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧. Recently, 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗧 has been kind of having lots of partnerships, so maybe that could potentially eventually help NIO down the line. But this is a pretty good FYI. I don't really see this being a massive catalyst or anything, but it's a good FYI. This, on the other hand, normally would really push NIO higher because any PR that's linked to either demand or just new launches, typically you see NIO move up because of that. But this lasted, like I said, 20 minutes of hype. And so NIO did hit their 1 million milestone. So pretty good stuff for that. I believe that from their numbers, they did have this right over here. So I think they were at 997,000 and change as of December the 31st. So of course that means they did about 2,500 give or take in the 6 days. So I don't know if maybe there was just holiday shutdown or quiet period or something along those lines, because that does seem a little bit low. But nonetheless, aside from that, they did hit the 1 million milestone. So that's deserving of a round of applause, or better yet, deserving of a damn analyst rating, because I know in the past, NIO really does move as well through analyst ratings. Just I'm not really sure why some of these are what they're doing. For instance, even JPM 3 months ago, you have UBS, Mizuho. Most of these actually did miss the last earnings. All these that say 3 months, anything that and above, they did not give a rating during NIO's last earnings. So very weird stuff when it comes down to that. Regarding shorts, at the peak, they were increasing about 1.4 million shares. As of right now, and net, they are returning 294,000. So that kind of shows that today's red day isn't really justified, or else they would easily double down because there is more than 10 million shares available to be shorted, plus cost to borrow is fairly low. So this 0.36% is an annual rate, not a daily rate, but 8.3% of the free floats being shorted works out to be 169.21 million shares overall being shorted. Still see some signs of naked shorting. So I had some questions or some comments, I guess, in my last video, and just saying about did shorts or like, what is this? Is this overnight? And the answer is no. So it looks like the whole naked shorting type of scenario started second or third week of September. So September the 22nd, that's when the whole naked shorting became visible. And it's been like, that's pretty much the only time in NIO's history that you had signs of naked shorting. Actually, no, my apologies. Aside from back in March of 2022, there was some signs of naked shorting that kind of lasted a little bit. And then again, we kind of know what happened there, where it largely got suppressed. So definitely, I don't know if there's some correlation, but I'll leave that up to you guys to leave that to your imagination. Regardless though, the fact that it's been lingering since September shows that SEC does not give two craps. Aside from that, there was 4.85 million in calls. The market's closing in about an hour, just so you have it as a benchmark. 1.3 million in puts, and 47% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. I'm sure some of the bears might be doing this because of the technicals. So I'll go over that near the end of the video. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly between 5 to 550. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 450 to 5. So there is more upside anticipated, but the frequency is more oriented towards down. These are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market. So we have 4 sells and 2 buys. So big money is not really buying the NIO dip, which is unfortunate. Then these are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool. So dark pool is often enough used by shorts. And so you can kind of see that there is some pretty big transactions occurring. And so since the fact that shorts aren't really doing too much, so the most they were doing is about 1.5 million, it is fair to assume that most of this is actually linked to hedge funds. So again, for whatever reason, hedge funds are selling. So this is how you can kind of just do some basic process of elimination. This is why I go over a lot of different data points, such as the volume, where it's coming from, and the fact that we don't see that many institutional transactions on the secondary market. Shorts aren't doing that much. A lot of this then is hedge funds, and based on the price action, hedge funds are selling. So not the best. So let me know your viewpoint. Why do you think potentially hedge funds would be selling NIO? Because yeah, it is crazy at a crazy discount. I believe it's actually even less than 1 for the PS, and that's insane of a discount. I don't think any American, the lowest American EV, I know you shouldn't compare apples and oranges, but the lowest American EV that's ever dropped to from a PS standpoint was, I think, Lucid at like 2.3. So in theory, NIO, even comparing that to Lucid, should be at, for instance, roughly about $11, $12. So absolute stupid part of the market. Aside from that though, on the actual chart itself, so unfortunately it is breaking down. This is where maybe some hedge funds might be selling based on this. Because yeah, you are right now below that 10 and also 200-day moving average, and typically 2 consecutive days does really signal a kind of trend. So it does look like we might be seeing some further consolidation, no different than where we kind of broke it down in November when I kind of mentioned that we're breaking below the 50. That kind of signals significant push lower. Lo and behold, we massively just dropped off a cliff. So not saying that's going to occur this time, but it does look like we are starting to break down based on the technicals. Hedge funds selling obviously isn't really helping as well. Like I mentioned, no new analyst ratings, no real articles really talking about NIO. So it's just at the mercy of the broader market. So let me know your thoughts on NIO. Are you buying? Are you selling? Are you getting as frustrated as I am with this stock? Because logically, based on all the updates, it should be significantly higher than where it is. And I've been covering NIO for quite some time, and unfortunately, institutions just don't care. I know I brought up a couple times how Wall Street hates NIO. Some people, obviously, I saw some comments saying otherwise. And I think it's just institutions don't want anything to do with NIO. I know there's always been that over-looming issue of geopolitical issues with the states, and I think that's pretty much one of the primary reasons why maybe institutions just do not want to touch any ADRs right now. I guess I'd like to say it gets better under a Trump administration, but most likely not. So that kind of gives you a viewpoint on maybe what might be coming next. So let me know your thoughts on NIO regardless. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.